Hello friends, welcome. Friends, in one of the videos which I did just yesterday, I think, I spoke about that how do you combine or how do you process and clean up a data where the columns of a particular data frame actually gets combined. Means they are all combined and jumbled up into one particular cell. So you can watch that particular video and I will paste a link in the description. In this video, I am going to talk about a different problem which you face when you are converting a PDF document into Excel. Let me show you what kind of problems that you are going to face. For example, if you see here Uttar Pradesh, right, this particular row, once you do the processing, you will find that all the values of this row will get jumbled up in one cell. Similarly, all India, when you process this, you will find that all the values of this cell will get jumbled up into one particular cell, right? Now, why does it happen? It happened because of bad formatting. So when you are printing the document, the formatting is bad, and therefore sometimes the PDF document is not properly structured, and therefore when you do the conversion, these kind of problems you face. Now, how do you deal with such a situation? It becomes very difficult to use a conventional Excel tool to process these kind of problems. So I will give you a very simple Python based solution and I'll take you step by step how to process and make this data user friendly so that you can further process it for your visualization purpose. So let's go step by step and understand how to do this, how to work this, one line after the other and understand it, what is exactly going on. So before I take you through the nitty-gritties of how to execute this program, let me just give you the basic converted file to show you the converted file, the first level of conversion. For which what I have done is that I have imported certain libraries. Some of the libraries are redundant, just ignore them because the most important library that I'm going to use is this one, right? So I have just put a simple what you called a function to extract tables from the PDF path. The PDF path is defined here. So here, see, the PDF path is here. So the folder path I have, so this is the folder path where my directory is there, where this particular file is there. So first you have to make some changes. First you have to basically move to that particular directory. So for that I am using this folder path and doing OS change directory to the folder path. And then this is a simple function. Then after that we have the PDF path here. And then this is the extracted tables, which will extract tables from PDF path, which is using this particular function. So let me run and show you how it looks. So let me just run this cell. So once I run this cell, there are two pages. So it will extract both the pages. And then I'm going to show you how this, first let me show you how the extracted tables look like, because extracted table is what is going to be the output of from the PDF path, because this extracted table from PDF path is stored in extracted tables. Let me show you how the extracted tables looks like. So this is a list of two you can say this is basically a merged list, which are a data frame which is basically stored into two different lists. So how do I know this? Because if I basically take the first element of the list, you will see that I'll get the first data frame. Can you see this? Now this data frame, if you see this data frame closely, you will find that this data frame has got various columns. Can you see there are various columns here? And as I was telling you, that this row, Uttar Pradesh, you can see that this is all jumbled up into one cell. So all the values which are supposed to be spread apart in different columns have now been jumbled up into one cell. Similarly, all India, all the values are jumbled up into all cells. So this becomes completely useless for your purpose because they are not spread out as it should be in the PDF file. If you see, this should have been spread out in various columns, right? That's how it is. So let's now go to the next part of the processing document. So what I have done is I have stored this extracted table 0, because this is basically, there are two PDF files which are stored into two different, this is a list basically, extracted table is a list. So the first element of the list is a data frame, the second element is also a data frame, but these are two different pages, so they are stored into two different elements as two different elements of these extracted tables. So once the extracted table is stored in the data frame, so let me just run this and I'll show you. The DF is exactly what I showed you as extracted table 0, right? Same with the index 0, the same thing. Then what I want to do is I want to make this structure a little better. So I'm going to look for this index, state oblique union territory, because I want to clip this data in such a way that it looks a little better. So I have to identify the index. So what I will do is I'll just go to the first column, because the first column is not named properly. So rather than basically going into a, with funny names, best is that you do df.columns. So it will give you all the columns, right? And then you basically take the first column, which is 0, and then anchor this with df, so that you will get the complete column elements here. Can you see this? All the elements are going to be here. So what you need to do, you need to find out this index for the purpose of clipping this data frame. So that is very simple to do. So what you need to do is that you just simply use str, then you say contain contains, and then you look for the anchor, which is state. So I'll say state. So once I do that, what it will do, it will basically came out with a boolean series, which is of true and false. So wherever it is able to find a state, it will say true. So what I will do is I'll simply anchor this, the whole thing. I'll anchor this again with the data frames. So it will do a filtering. So it will basically show me that particular row with the index 2. So now I have to get this value 2. So I'll say index. So it will give me a 2. Then since I want to extract this value as not as a list, right? So I'm going to extract this. I'll just put 0 here. So the 2 will get separated out. And I'm going to store this as index value for further processing. So I have index here. So you see this particular step I have shown you here. Now what I'm going to do, I have to clip. I have to do clipping, right? So let me just decomment this and run this here. And then what I will do is I'll show it to you here right now. So you have got data frame. Now index is already stored because I've run this cell. So index you have got 2. So what you do, then again you basically do iloc. Once you're done iloc, then you basically what you do, you start from the row 2. So because I want to generalize this, because I'm not too sure how many rows are going to have dummy content, that's why I'm using this index to make it a little generic rather than making specific. You could have, instead of doing index, you could have put 2 there. Instead of, you can put 2 here, but just to make it a little generic, right? So that it works in every situation. So what I'm doing, I'm starting from row number 2, which is index, and then all the rows, and then all the columns, with this. So when you see that, when I run this, you will find that the data frame looks a little better right now from that point of view. And I can store this in df, right? So this data is stored here. So this step is also done, completed. Then what I want to do, I want to name the data frame of all the columns, which is the first row. So let me show you again. Let me run this cell again and I'll show you df. So df is what? df has the names of the columns in the first row. So I have to basically use this first row to name all the columns. So this is a very simple thing to do. So I say df.columns, and then I'll simply extract the first row. So I do iloc, and then I'll say 0. 0 is the index of the first row, and then I'll say 2 and to all the columns, and then I'll say press enter. Right, this is the next step. So I'll decomment this, and when I run this cell and then I show you how the data frame looks now, the data frame looks something like this, right? You see that? All the columns have been named. Now I have to get rid of the first row, right? Which is this. And then I'll reset index and say drop is equal to 2. So the data frame will look something like this. Now it is much more cleaner. But what has happened is everything has worked very fine, but this is still there, right? This we have to clean up. So how do we do this cleaning? That is what we are going to work next. So I'll just delete this cell. Now this is the code which we are going to use to process this. And let me explain to you step by step. Now before I run this cell, I'll just create an empty cell here. Just a minute. I'll remove this and then I'll create an empty cell here, right? And I'm going to show you step by step. Otherwise, there will be no point in going through this video. So this is a for loop, right? And now what is this df dot values? The df dot values, how does it looks, right? So it is going to basically, this is how, oh sorry. So when I say df dot values, you will see that all the rows are going to get extracted here as a set of array, right? So it is basically an array which is consisting of list, and the lists are what? Individual rows. So if I put in index 0 here, the first row will get extracted. You see, this is df dot value. Simple, right? So if I do a for loop here, so let's say for row in df dot values, and I'll say print row. So I say print row. So you'll find that the data frame is going to basically, so since it is df dot 0, so let me just take this out, and then I say print row. So you'll see that these rows are all going to get printed. So you see individual list, all the rows are getting printed. So that's what the meaning of df dot values is. Now what is enumerate? Enumerate is nothing but there is one I, right, which is an index which I am using. So it will do two things. It is basically going to come out with two different values. It's going to, this is a iterable function. So what it will do is it will start with 0. So for each and every loop, it will start with 0, 1, 2, like that. So I basically does nothing. It is just an indicator. It's just increment. Normally in C programming, what I do, I will do I plus 1, right? Rather than doing that, I can do it in a single step, right? So let me just show you how it looks so that you can understand, I'll just go step by step. So let me just put I here instead of row, and I print I, and I'll say enumerate. I'll just copy this whole thing again so that I don't have to write it. So that, and then I say print I, then you will understand what does it mean. You see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, right? So that's all it is doing. So what, now in order to process it, I have created a list, right, which is a empty list, new row, right? And then I'm doing a for loop. Now, in order to process this, I have to create another list where I am going to store all the processed cells. Now, what is happening is that each and every row is basically having a cell. So after having this for loop, within this for loop, there has to be another for loop, right? Which will do what? It will basically go through each and every cell, right? So let me show you again. Let me just copy this so that you understand what is going on, so that people are not confused, when they're looking at this video. So I'll just remove this and I'll say print cell, right? Right. So when I print cell, sorry, what happened? For row, okay. For is missing here. For. So when I print cell, what do you see here? So you can basically see that each and every element of the document data frame is basically getting printed. So if you look at the original data frames starting from there, you'll find that, yeah, this is the first row, then this is the second row, and if I go here and I see, you'll see that this is the first row and this is the second row. So one by one, each and every cell is getting printed, right? That's all it is doing. Then what you do is that you process each and every cell and strip it so that these cells, if they are jumbled up, right, they get separated out. That's all you will do. So now, since there are many cells which is individual elements, so they will not do anything. They will create only one single value, right? When you do splitting, so splitting is nothing but it will just split it. So this jumbled part will get split into a list, and which you will store in another list called value. Let me just show you. So this is the step. So cell is here. So when I do, let me just show you how does it look, what kind of, so before I do this strip, I am going to anchor this as a string function, because if it is not a string function, the splitting is not going to happen. So I have to force this each and every cell to become a string function, and then I'll do strip, and then I'll just simply do strip, right? So when I run this, you will see that, right? You'll see that, what it is doing. The last values. Look at this. This is UP, right? So let me, if in order to be very sure, what I am going to do is that I am going to remove this one and I am going to say all rows so that you can basically understand what is going on. Just a minute. And then I say run this. Run this. And you will see here once it is run. Okay, just a minute. Oh, sorry. Here I have to remove this. Okay, row. I'm going to remove this completely and run this. Once you see, then you will see that Uttar Pradesh. Can you see here Uttar Pradesh? And every value of Uttar Pradesh has been splitted and they actually have been converted into individual elements, right? That's what is this split function does. Now, why I have taken out the first, um, uh, I have basically, rather than using the complete full row, what I've done, I have extracted out the first part because I don't want this part to get split. These have to be kept separate. What will happen if I split it? West Bengal will become West and Bengal, which I don't want, right? So that is the reason why I have to basically get the first cell out of the processing. So for that, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to basically start from the first, the second cell. That's why one colon. So it will basically it will get the first part of first cell out of the processing part, right? So once I do this, you will see that. Let me just print value here. So this will do the splitting and will store in cell, and this cell is going to sorry, just a minute. This cell is going to basically get stored in a list called values, which was an empty list, right? So I'll print value here, print value here, print value, values here. Then you will see that, and I'm going to just comment this, and you will see that what is happening here. Can you see? It starts from the beginning. So because this is a for loop, it is just revolving like that. The first part, then the second, so each and everything is getting stored here. And then finally the full row is coming because it is going to keep on revolving, rotating, and then this is the final row, right? Like that, this is the second. And then if you go down below, when you in UP, you will find that every row is going to be of similar nature because what it has done, it has split and then repeating the split again and again, again and again. So now what I am going to do is that I am going to store this in new rows, this list, which is going to capture each and every part of this and is going to get stored here. So I'll remove print here and I am going to again run this, and then I am going to show you new row. How does it look, right? And you'll see that this is another list consisting of various, it's a list in list. So it has got so many lists, and every list will have another list, which is nothing but an integration of a row. For example, if you see the first element of this list, this is the first row, this is the second element of the list, will be the second row, like that. And if you want to see the last element, you will see that the last element is the same, which was got jumbled up here. Sorry, show me. This is the element which got jumbled up. Now you can see that these are all separated out in a list. Then what I'm going to do, now the processing is becoming very simple. After having done this, now everything is there. Then I have to basically create a data frame, right? Which is very simple to do. So then let's just forget this for the time being. So I'm going to store this new row in a data frame in body. So if I run this cell, the new row is now a list which consists of another elements which are list, which are nothing but rows of the data frame. So I just create a data frame called body. So if I run this cell, you'll see body will consist of what? The data frame without the first column. The first column will not be there. The rest of the data frame is all here. Can you see? So in order to get the first column, I am going to use this. So if I run this and I just show you how the states look, you see that this is the first column. So I've got two data frame. One is state, another is body, right? The states is the first column of the original data frame and the body is the processed data frame. So nothing, then I just have to concat this with an axis is equal to 1 and the whole thing is going to become final product right in front of you. See, Uttar Pradesh has been converted into a row which is cleaner and it is no longer jumbled up. The all India is converted into a simple row, no longer jumbled up, right? So this is how you can do using simple Python. You can make your life easy, because even when you do Excel PDF to Excel conversion using Adobe as a tool, you will still find these kind of problems are going to be there, and you are not going to deal with this problem unless you go through this simple programming. And you need to understand it, right? It is very important to understand it, because there could be some tweaking which we need to do here and there, and if you don't understand the code, then the tweaking is not possible later. You don't have to memorize this, and that is the whole purpose of this video. I hope that you like this video, and thanks for listening till the end, and I'm going to come back with a new video next time. Thank you very much.